She DTF. She tell me she DTF. I heard she DTF. What? And you ain't hanging with the team if you ain't down to fuck. Okay. Well, little mama bag got the code in a sprite.
Welcome to DTF.
Yay!
It's the Darryl Timaree Fun Hour. This is the greatest sex education comedy game show in the known universe.
Yup, that's us. This is to my left on my screen is Dr. Timaree. Dr. Timaree is a sexuality educator and has degrees as such.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
Yep.
I have a student that loves to prove it.
Yep. She's currently paying for an education. And I am also paying for an education, but I abandoned that to be a comedian. Thing is that my comedy is, well, it has nothing to do with sex typically, but I've had AOL for a very long time, or I had it a very long time ago, and I've seen far too much. So that's why we put this show together.
I would love if you still had AOL.
Wouldn't it be something? I still use the screen name that I used the most predominantly.
What's that?
I still use it in random places.
Your
But,
AIM name?
My AIM name, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the last vestige. The last time I heard of AOL was, and Call Me Lucky. It was a documentary by a comic dude, a big Boston guy, like the old dude. He died too. I can't remember his name, but he was behind the big lawsuit that made AOL have to start taking responsibility for the amount of video evidence of childhood abuse that was being shared and given or passed freely on their site, because his comedy very wonderfully broached that topic. He was actually very open about it. Bobcat Goldthwait directed it.
We'll fix
man.
it in post.
Yeah, it's going to show up right here. Something. Anyway.
And we have a special guest this week.
Yeah, more importantly, on an upper note. We have a comedian, a host, and all-around wonderful person, Cassandra Dee, is here with us this week. Hi, Cassandra.
Right.
Oh.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Doing the best I can. Yeah, I completely understand. That's a loaded question. Now a century. Yeah.
It's been fun greeting people lately.
Especially because you can't just hug. It's typically in hard times, you just come here, bring it in. Like you don't have to say anything, but now it's like, it don't feel the same.
I haven't seen any murder hornets. Like that's the only, we don't actually have those. That's
Yeah, that was
yeah.
It was
overinflated. Yeah. Because it was like all Northwest. It wasn't even like they were going to be going to most of the US. But it was like 2020, whatever, right?
Yeah. So we had that going for us.
Africanized killer bees, right? That was a whole thing, and it was in a particular area of the country, and they're like, it's going to spread because of global warming, because that's what we called it back then. It never happened.
Oh God, I remember being seriously afraid that killer bees were going to affect the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were killing kids. Because they swarm. It's not one sting. Like the sting alerts the other ones, so they would all swarm, and the kids were dying. And one of the techniques, if you're getting swarmed by bees and you have money, is to run into a pool, to dive into a pool, because you'll get underwater and they can't sting you anymore. But the Africanized bees, which it's a little problematic that they call them. But anyway, they were European honeybees that apparently. Anyway, the Africanized honeybees would hover over the water. They were like, nah, you don't even get away like that. And it was very funny. But people
definitely sounds like some colonizer shit.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. Look at this savage trying to get away from us.
Yeah. Terrifying.
My takeaway is that I want a pool. I've just been climbing on my roof so I can get sun, and it's very scary and dangerous because I have to climb up a fire escape. And I'm always convinced I'm gonna fall. So
I understand.
I want a pool.
But you have to get sun. Yeah.
I feel like we're going to start getting repeat viewers who just want to check every week to make sure you're okay. Like,
like, did she fall? Did she fall?
Well, you're in heels anytime I've seen you on the fire escape, so that could probably be a thing.
It makes it extra scary. But when I climb up there, like in the afternoon, I'm usually just wearing like flats or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just go read a book. Okay, let's talk about sex.
Yeah, it's DTF time. Yeah, let's do the things. So
Bring up our very good slides.
Yeah, welcome. It's DTF at your house. As you can see, we are in your house. We're never this many people in my house. Yeah, nope. But you know, some people live this way. Multi-generational homes are the hallmark of the stratification of the rich and the poor. All right. Let's get to our first article. It's the fucking news, everybody.
Woo!
Yeah. So
All
this
right.
is a nice little doozy.
Yeah. So this is a fun story. The Boy Scouts, who have recently filed for bankruptcy in order to protect the organization because they have so many, hundreds of lawsuits against them because of Scouts who experienced sexual abuse while they were involved in the organization. And some of the abusers were Scout leaders or maybe even other Scouts or people that were somehow involved. And that is probably a small percentage of the people who actually experienced abuse who are coming forward with lawsuits. But in addition to the folks who have already filed lawsuits, there is now a window in which people can still file lawsuits if they haven't already. And initially, the Boy Scouts wanted it to be like 80 days.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, I mean, that happened to you years ago, so you should have already sued us by
Right.
now.
I mean, you know, they've always gone for the low numbers.
But it was extended, and a judge ruled that not only did the window have to be 6 months, but the Boy Scouts had to actively spend money campaigning to make sure that people who had previously complained had the opportunity to file a lawsuit. They had to reach out to people. They had to advertise about it. So we'll see what happens. We have this window.
Yeah, so we're doing our part to help out with that outreach by letting people know you claim a piece of the Boy Scouts, I guess. Get some money for the incredible trauma that you and your loved ones have had to endure as a part of a fucking homophobic organization. Yeah, so, you know, it's part of their bankruptcy claim, so, you know, yay, they're going bankrupt. But bankruptcy doesn't always mean closing, so, you know, there's still work to do.
So is the Boy Scouts like the Catholic Church where it's like rampant, or is this like, I don't know how many Boy Scouts there are to know what percentage hundreds might be.
I think that's a really good comparison. That's the thing that I kept thinking of, which is like these two organizations are both known for being overtly homophobic and saying we can't have anyone in here who's gay because then kids would get molested, which is like the most glaring like shell game ever. Because it's clearly a problem. Any organization that has a ton of kids in it means that you're going to have people who prey on kids head there, right? Any place that has vulnerable kids is going to have predators go that direction. I mean, predators prey on the vulnerable. So I think it's a really good comparison.
They also have other organizations where like adults are like, we would like to spend time with your children, but only the boys. Like, and that I feel like is also a weird thing. Like, I feel like the only people who look at children and divide them by gender in that way are people who are sexualizing them. Like, it's weird to be like, let's isolate this gender of children to me. I don't know.
Right. I completely agree with that. It's like, why are you concerned about the genitals of this child? Every child should be able to learn how to start a fire, you know, because the world's collapsing, so they should all know. So, you know, but yeah, to separate them that way. But, you know, what's funny is that a year or two ago, we covered this on DTF. We covered the Boy Scouts a lot, which is one of those things where you have to go, hey, Boy Scouts, you don't want a show like us covering you. We only talk about sex. You guys don't. So yeah, keep your names out of our mouths. But yeah, like a couple years ago, they added girls. They're like, it's the Boy Scouts of America, but we are now going to add girls. I don't know if the Girl Scouts.
The Girl Scouts have always been much more inclusive. The Girl Scouts
Yes.
not only always allowed openly queer people, but they were the first organization for kids of this size to be like, if you identify as a girl, you can be a Girl Scout too. They allowed trans folks in long before a lot of organizations.
Yeah. So like, but they did as because all of this news leads to less people putting their kids in these organizations, thankfully. And so they've been losing money because it costs dues, and you got to buy a lot of crap. I was a Cub Scout for a few years. I still feel bad for my mom. But to her credit, we used those sleeping bags for the rest of my adolescence. It was like, yeah, no, this isn't you went camping twice. No, this is now your blanket. We are unzipping that thing and you're sleeping with it. I don't care. So there's that. But they've been losing money. And so they added girls as a method to like try to recoup some of that money. But they did too much bad. So now it's all coming back. I want to say like boo-hoo to this limit on it. I think, yeah, especially when it comes to like childhood abuse, because of the far-reaching effects of it, like to put limits on when one can file, when one can seek legal recourse, kind of sucks. But I get it, like in the spirit of the law and the idea that one can repay a debt to society. Like at some point you have to be like, they did it, we know they've been punished, it's done. But yeah, I don't know if it's like change the law, but like I feel like
so yeah, there's like two different elements there because there's like the window in which you can file like a legal case for criminal charges.
mm-hmm.
And an interesting thing that happened is in some states they extended the window because of COVID. So like if you had an abuse allegation from years earlier and you wanted to go to the police with it, some of the cases are just too old, you can't come forward. But COVID actually was a reason that, for instance, like New York State extended, which is fascinating in and of itself. But then this is also because of the bankruptcy, and it's just a matter of like, they're going to figure out how much they pay out based on how much money they have. Yeah. So if you file now for a lawsuit, they'll know how much money they have to dole out. But if you file a lawsuit after they've done all that, then the amount of money that they have will be different. And so I think that's also part of it. And it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's just like at some point it becomes a math thing.
Yeah.
So like, what is the argument for the statute of limitations on sexual assault even existing? Because like statute of limitations on murder doesn't exist because we're like, this is a horrible thing. And if we get you 70 years from now, you're going to jail for that. But like, does anyone know why sexual assault does not also have that unlimited?
I would guess it's because there are far fewer judges who actively commit murder. Yeah, far less judges and legislators that have participated in a murder and their friends have also done that murder. Sometimes they high five and drink about it later, and so they want to make sure that people can get away with it as long as they're their friends. So I think it's probably the case. I mean, from the defendant's standpoint, it's like, how long ago? Like, come on, get over it. Don't you have your own kids now that you abuse because you're angry about it? Fucking leave me out of it. It's typically the answer. But yeah, there's no good answer.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, and it's also like, why would it matter given how few people actually do come forward, and when people do come forward, how often does that lead to anything? And then how many rape kits just don't get tested either? So it's like,
there's that.
Seems like maybe there's a whole system-wide problem. We're not really taking it seriously.
It's like sexual assault. Like a lot of times people don't realize it even happened until so much later. Like if it happens to a child, sometimes they're like, oh shit, like 35 years old. Like I didn't know that wasn't normal, like that wasn't okay.
Right.
And people know if you were murdered, right? Like, yeah,
Well,
nobody's ever like, what's going on with Jim here? Like he hasn't moved in days. Like, yeah, so I just feel like it doesn't make sense.
Hold on, that priest murdered me 2 decades ago.
I've been a ghost this whole time.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those kids and that dog. Yeah. So, yay, they're going bankrupt. And also, I'm very sorry if you're watching this and this has been in any way a triggering event. That sucks. I apologize that happened to you, but you have until November 16th to get your dough. So you better file a claim, write a letter. In just searching for this picture, I found many ads on the search engine that were like, hey, do you have a claim? File a claim. It was like that. So
it's like the new mesothelioma.
Yep. Are you having problems breathing every time you walk by a church? Call this number. It's like that sort of thing.
So yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. Like also, if anybody is listening who, has been pondering what to do about seeking some kind of justice or whatever, you have a much better chance in like a civil lawsuit than you do going to the police. So the burden of proof is different, and lawyers treat it very differently. So if there is any organization or individual that is responsible or didn't take it seriously, just take that into consideration. Y'all want to talk about something else?
Yeah. Let's get to from a bunch of people being maliciously treated to just one person who was talking about a lot of people and they were frustrated.
Yay.
Yay.
So this sort of stems from, it's just sort of a thing, but I came across an article that was on Slate. There's an online asking for advice of Stoya, and I'm trying to remember, I can't pronounce his last name. Stoya is on it. You can find that pretty easily.
Slate, yeah.
It's an advice column around sexuality.
How to do it, I think is what it's called.
What is it?
How to do it, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And somebody wrote in who I believe was a cis man, and he was like, one thing they never tell people when they go into non-monogamy is the gender ratio and how there's always like 3 to 1 dudes at every event that I go to. And what's that about? And so conversation follows from there. So I got my own thoughts on this. I'd be interested to hear from y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yes. Well, I think from the research that I've done in doing DTF for years, a lot of these situations, organizations, kind of by default have to be female-led, right? And they have to be not just female-led, but like they have to be considerate of the femmes in the space, because if shit gets crazy, it's typically the craziness is in their direction. So they have to ensure that, they want to ensure everyone is safe, but typically the people who are the most quickly vulnerable would be the femmes. So if a woman is uncomfortable in one of the situations, it fucks everything up because of those disparities. So I think what ends up happening is that people, that you end up with these disparities because they just kind of have to weed jerks out, right?
Well, okay, so to approach this from like sort of a stats perspective, the number of people who express interest in non-monogamy in general, it tends to be more likely to be dudes, like male identified people. However, that said, a lot of the qualitative research, which is not necessarily just like sheer numbers, but actually talking to people, what we find is that actually women, femme, non-binary folks have an easier time navigating it and managing the emotions around it and being able to navigate it. And that's not that everybody's good or any other group is all bad or anything like that. It's just that people who've been socialized as women have tended to have the expectation of handling relationships in a slightly different way, and seem to be better able to navigate things like sharing a partner with someone and finding other partners and being able to balance more than one relationship. But despite the fact that that is the case, what tends to happen is like cis straight dudes see non-monogamy as an option to have like a little harem, and then they show up in a poly space and it's like, oh, we got way too much dick here, and unless you're also interested in dick, like, you're just gonna be waiting around. Unless you are particularly interesting or attractive or funny or nice or whatever.
It's like the real world.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have to have more than just your penis. I don't know what to tell you. You got to bring other things. It's like it's been said, and we've said it on here, that polyamory is just schedules. It's just adding more calendars to manage. So yeah, the biggest skill is that of an admin. It's just getting everybody together on the same page as far as like who's going to be where and when, and you know, who's getting the groceries today, kind of stuff. So like, you just have to be more open in your scheduling and more accepting of fluctuations. The more people you add to a thing. So it is just, this is going to happen. You have to balance that. That's part of the consensual, non-monogamous thing.
And this is, yeah, this is also, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, I feel like the guy, I couldn't really tell how much of my perception of the way that the guy made the like complaint was sort of filtered through the way they responded. But the way that they responded in the article was kind of like that this dude was like an incel, but like just like a greedy incel, because he wasn't like, nobody wants to sleep with me. He's like, I'm going to these places and not enough people want to sleep with me because there's too many guys. Like, I don't know. He seemed entitled, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yeah. So it didn't seem like it was about like logistics. It was about him feeling bad about himself.
Right. He was like, yeah, I thought I would walk in the door and they'd be like, thank God you're here. Oh my God. No one's dick is out. Like, yeah, and it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the sexual economy in general, and that's one of the things that like Soya pointed out. Is she's like, the rest of the world is oriented to lean very hard and to make things easier for men. So there's like this one place where we get to be in charge of the economy. If we didn't make it so difficult on women to be sexually open, maybe there'd be more women here too, is the other thing. Like, if we didn't deride women for being sexually active, if we didn't talk about the number of their partners as though that was somehow an indicator of their morality, if we didn't, you know, shame women for wanting casual sex or pleasure in general, like, you could probably have more women at these things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's a funny thing to think that adding non-monogamy to a relationship doesn't add in all of the other things it took to get to like monogamy, right? Like when you're out dating, when you're out on apps, when you're talking to people, you will be subjected to rejection. You kind of have to just get the fuck over it and like move on, right? Like you can't be just focused on one person, and then when that person says no, you're like, well then fuck it, you know. You can't. It doesn't work. So when you are adding extra people in, that's an extra dynamic. So it's not just that, yeah, I think you're hot and I want to mess with you. It's like, I think you're hot, but then you're in a relationship with this person, and I don't necessarily have to think they're hot, but I have to keep them in mind. So if you're with a nightmare, I'm leaving you alone, right? It's just extra room and things to say no to. So, you know, there's going to be more rejection in those circumstances. One piece of advice I've heard for a situation like this dude and this couple is, if you really want to be like that, like just a part of your agreement with your partner can be that y'all only play as a pair, which can essentially handcuff one person, the person that's getting more attention. But if it's supposed to be this sort of thing, like we are experiencing it all together, then we are going to be in on any of the play that happens. And whatever the restrictions are based on the couple's sexual proclivities, those factor in, but it's as a couple. So you can be like, if it's that bad, and if you're, both people in the couple are cool with it, it's like, no, well, no one's talking to me, so I guess we'll just sit here together. Which, that always blows. But it's a thing. It's a way to mitigate the feelings of it. Yeah.
Cassandra, what are your thoughts on monogamy, non-monogamy, all this stuff?
I remember like years ago, it was probably in college. Someone was very openly like very much wanted gay rights, like just LGBTQ, all of those rights. And they were like, somebody was like, that's great, but we just have to make sure it doesn't go too far. Like, we can't have people like marrying multiple people. And I remember just sitting there going, wait, why not? Like, morally, I see, like, I don't understand why people think that it's like a big deal, but also, why would anyone want it? Personally. Like, do you ever see, like, so, like, do both of you drive? Do both of you have cars?
I have.
Okay. You know that they're, like, largely annoying, right? Like, you have to, like, get the oil changed. Like, once you have to go get gas. You have to, like, clean them. You have to do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine having all of, like, Jay Leno's cars, but, like, not having Jay Leno money to pay someone to take care of them.
All right.
Like, yeah, it just seems like a lot of work. Like,
yeah,
personally. But I do feel bad for this guy that he's, not able to get more than one girlfriend.
I feel bad for him. It's a tough situation to be like, wait a minute, I'm not as attractive as I thought I was. That sucks. But like, I've been in my history, I've been in consensually non-monogamous relationships and non-consensually non-monogamous relationships. And I'll tell you something, the non-consensual ones, a lot less stress. There's a lot less stress. There's a lot less balls to juggle. I see what I did there. But there's a lot less stress when you just keep it secrets.
I would think the opposite.
Yeah. No. For me, like, trying to keep a falsehood like straight, it would be so challenging for me.
Oh, but it's. I mean, I don't want to delve into my shitty days, but you're only lying to one person. That is so much easier than being truthful to a bunch of people and having to worry about everyone's feelings. You can just bold-faced lie to one person. You can gaslight. You can do all this bad shit, but it's just to one person. You can be truthful to everyone else. It's easy. I'm just saying, the best way to do it is typically the harder way.
So you would be truthful to the other people. You would be like, I have a girlfriend. I'm not allowed to do this, but.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they're like, cool, I get it.
Sorry, go ahead. Right,
yeah, and they're like, cool, I get it. I won't, if I see you with someone in the street, I'll wait for you to say hi to me before I say hi to you. Or you can tell your friends, hey, this is happening, so when you see me with this other person, just don't mention nobody. Or, hey, I was with the wrong person on Friday. Guess who you didn't see on Friday? Or guess who you did see on Friday? Right? Like, again, you can confide in other people, and
I'm
typically
already like so overwhelmed by the lies. I can't keep track of my regular life and remembering like what I did yesterday.
Yeah, I mean it's a jerk move because you're essentially pulling people into the closet with you, right? Of these lies.
Oh, people have done that to me, yeah.
Yeah, and many times people will be like, don't put me in your shit. And you just know that like you have to be around that person less because you're committed to lying to one person. Again, is a lot less drama.
That's a big commitment.
It is a big commitment, but like, that's a lot of cake to eat. Again, the thoughts and emotions of Darryl Charles have nothing to do with Darryl Charles. But but yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the idea of consensual non-monogamy or just ethical non-monogamy, a lot of people like to walk into it like, cool, more genitals, and that's all they have to think about. And it's like, nah, man, it's a lot. There's a lot of conversations you have to have before you even see a nipple. Like, oh, so many conversations you have to have before anything happens. And then it's all of the same feelings that you had when you were absolutely single. It's just that you have someone else to fucking convalesce with when your feelings are hurt and you go home and nobody touched your balls.
Oh. Although I do have to say, I was thinking about what you said, Cassandra, and like on one hand, yes, like the keeping track of all the cars, but there is the other flip side of that in if everybody that you're involved with is also non-monogamous, then you are not the only person responsible for taking care of those cars. So that's the upside. It's like when you have the bandwidth, I'm like, I'm going to go take the fucking care of this Mustang. And somebody else can take care of the Jeep today, you know, something like that.
It's like
I
Lyft.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's like Lyft.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like to change metaphors to make it help the point I'm trying to make is like, I personally, so like I get it, like, so like I had a dog and like my mom would like take care of the dog while I was at work. And so like there was like multiple people helping to take care of the dog, and that's good. But I would rather just have a cat that could take care of its fucking self. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
All right, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, I'm glad. I wasn't sure if it was going to.
Yeah. Well,
No, but if you had like multiple cats, then you can actually pay less attention to the cats because they will entertain each other. You just have more shit to clean up, and you have to be more deliberate about cleaning up your shit so your house doesn't smell like cat pee. But you have to spend less individual time with the cats, and then sometimes you're laying down and all these cats get on you, and you feel so much love. I love metaphors.
Well, in the interest of time, shall we move this talk of dogs and cats to dog years?
Yes.
All right. Now we are ready for our next regular segment. It is about to be game time.
Yeah, it is game time.
Oh. Slideshow from beginning. All right, yay! I did great. Everything's going well. All right, so this is a game. We've been bringing back old games because not only did DTF turn 7 last month, which is bonkers, but we now that we have this visual medium because we're doing the videos, we've been bringing back these old games. So this is a game that we originally played in March of 2018. So bringing it back. And the game is Price is Right Celebrity Age Gaps. So what you're going to be doing is guessing the number of years between these two famous people in a relationship. At least they were in 2018. I have some updates. As close as you can go without going over. Make
Too many
sense?
cars in the garage.
So like if one is 40 and one is 30, we're guessing the 10.
Correct.
Okay.
That is exactly how we would do it. Yeah. All right. So would anyone like to go first?
Please, Cassandra.
All right. So here is your first celebrity couple. In case you don't recognize them, that is Camila Alves and Matthew McConaughey. What is your guess for the difference between them in age?
I'll go with 9.
9 is very close. The difference is 13.
Oh.
13. So as of 2018, she was 35 and he was 47, which means that dude's about 50 now. But yeah, 13 years between them.
Well, you know, is anyone else going to bring up the quote? He keeps getting older, but the girls stay the same age. All right. Anyway.
That's pretty good.
That's not problematic at all. No.
So it's actually a 15-year difference now.
Oh.
I mean, right?
Yeah, that's
what
like
happens.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio has never dated anyone over 25.
Yeah, yo, that chart. Look up that chart.
Yeah, they get closer to 25, and sometimes he stayed with people until they were 25, and then they break up. But he's never dated anyone over 25, and that dude's almost 50.
It's bananas.
He's emotionally stunted.
Or just a control freak, you know.
Sure. Darryl, you ready for yours?
Yes.
All right. Do you know who these folks are?
Oh, I know that that's George Clooney.
Yeah, and his wife, Amal Clooney. Yeah.
Ah, see, I didn't know that L was just a post.
Yeah.
Cool.
She's an international human rights lawyer, I think.
Ah. Well, they look happy, and he looks very enamored, which is nice, despite the fact that there is a 16-year age difference.
Very close. 17.
Oh!
Only by 1 year. Nice. Ooh. Nice.
Mm.
All right. We ready for our next one? Boom. Sandra, you know who these folks are?
Yes. I've recently learned what the age difference was, too. Like probably last year sometime.
The age difference between Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi is
it 18 years?
Very close. It is 15.
Oh.
15. So you did technically go over, but I'm actually just counting how many years off you were.
Just how many years? Yeah, that makes sense. I love the face of the dude in the back. That is seat filler status right there.
So excited to be here. Yeah, I don't recognize a lot of other people behind them.
I think that, just
especially the dude peeking, that's a seat filler. It's like, ooh, they're taking a picture. We out here. I'm using this as a credit.
Are you ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No. Oh man. Oh shoot. It's so funny because it's like, oh, I know that this is Jay-Z and Beyonce, so I should know the numbers between their age. Why would I know that? I don't know that.
Why would anyone know that fact?
Right. I mean, I understand that. Like, I remember. Yeah. Let's see. When he wrote Soldier, that was 2000. At that point, well, Jay-Z's like in his 50s and Beyonce's in her 30s. So I think something like that. So let's say 21 years.
It is 12.
12?
12-year difference, yeah.
I'm dyslexic. I got it right. Don't even worry about it. I'm playing. I'm not dyslexic. That's rude.
Yeah, in 2018, he was 47 and she was 36. So 12-year difference.
That's not bad. But I mean, you know, if you saw a 13-year-old holding hands with a 1-year-old, you would not think they were, dating.
Yeah. They shouldn't. Neither one of them should really be dating.
They don't know what they're doing. They should. The 13-year-old should barely be left alone, like just in like a, I'm going to the store, make sure this child doesn't die. I'm coming right back. Like you should, yeah.
But if you get young enough, almost any age difference becomes creepy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Very true.
Totally.
You ready, Cassandra?
Sure.
Do you know who these folks are?
I know who Hugh Jackman is, and I assume that's Hugh Jackman's wife. Is she famous? Should I know her?
Deborah Lee Furness. She is not as famous as he is.
No, I mean, she's no X-Man.
No, she is not. She's no Wolverine.
I'm going to go with 8 years.
13.
Wow.
And she is 13 years older.
I was about to ask that question, but I felt like it was rude.
No, I mean that's one of the interesting things is there's in the couples where they are a different gender, it is a rare thing, especially among famous people. So yeah, they've been together for well over 20 years. So
that is adorable. That's fantastic.
It's very cute.
Hugh Jackman's always struck me as a good guy. I have no information to really corroborate that, For all
Strikes
I
me
know.
also a big nerd, like a
Yeah?
theater nerd. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, he's a big
Musical
theater
theater.
guy. Yeah, he's a big musical theater guy. So that, I think that is how I'm lending credulity, right? I guess, like, yeah. Oh, the dude loves to sing and dance. He can't hurt nobody. As if that's a thing. Like, of course he can. It's probably easier. People are shunned by most of society because they'll break out into songs at a Denny's. Of course you can abuse them right after. Anyway.
Woo, you ready? Because I accidentally hit the button.
So this is my turn, right?
Yeah, do you know who these folks are?
I know it's Zachary Quinto, who's known for being Spock, but I'll always remember him as Skylar. But I don't know who the other person is.
Miles McMillan, less famous.
No,
Now,
okay.
just as a heads up, they actually split in 2019 after being together for 6 years.
Oh, that means he must have turned 25. So, 7.
There is a 12-year age gap between these two.
These are well-hydrated people.
So at this point, Zach Quinto was 40 and Miles was 28, and that was a couple of years ago. So drink water.
Yeah, drink water and exercise. All right. It's not over for me yet.
These are going to start getting a little bit more challenging, just so you know.
More?
Ready?
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. It's like a lot.
do you know who these folks are?
Yes. I cannot remember their names at the moment, but
Sarah Paulson and Holland Taylor.
Yeah.
For folks who don't know.
So I assume I know Sarah Paulson is older than me. I'm going to guess she's roughly 45. I'm going to go with 32 years.
Right on the nose, 32 years.
Woo!
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So
that means you win the prize and you get to do the game.
So when this game was first created, Sarah Paulson was 43, so now she's probably roughly about 45. Holland Taylor was 75 at the time, so now like 77-ish. So
yeah, well, they have to stay home now.
Yeah. All right. Next.
Why would I say that? Go ahead.
All right,
deliveries in that house, baby.
Come on, laptop. There we go.
No idea who these people are.
Never seen them before in my life.
That is Jimmy Page.
Okay.
Famous musician, and Scarlett Sabang. I think that's how you say it. S-A-B-E-C.
Okay.
And
Jimmy Page is guitarist, right? Like
Yes.
From some band.
I believe it was Led Zeppelin.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. It was your culture, not mine.
That is dad culture. It's not mine.
Yeah, sorry. I don't even think I've ever heard a Zeppelin song.
Ooh, you have, because Chase Utley comes up to bat to Kashmir.
Kashmir. I think so.
So
oh yeah, that's the Godzilla song from the Matthew Broderick one. Yeah. See, that's how I know that. That's my cultural reference. Oh boy. If we had 32 before, I'm gonna go with a cool 40. Let's go hard.
46.
Damn! How do I undershoot that? Like, I mean, but yeah,
impressive.
that's something.
Yeah, so
that's
at this
something.
point, he was 74, she was 27. They are still together. In an interview that I read, she'd originally been kind of like ashamed and nervous because she thought people were going to think it was a joke, but they're still together. So, good for them.
I don't think that's a joke. I think that is serious. I'm seriously worried.
I lost your sound. Oh no.
I first of all just thought she was younger than that even. Like I didn't even think she was 27. But like it just is not.
Can you imagine being 42 and a person is born.
Maybe my soulmate just hasn't been born yet. Like, I just gotta wait another 5 years for them to be born,
And then wait for them to mature.
Yeah, like another 25 years after that.
And then meet them and
Just
still be interested in fucking. Like, come on. Like, oh my God.
I'll just
Not to
wait
say
until
that all people
Leonardo
don't fuck, they
DiCaprio
do.
breaks up with them. And then hop in
Right.
there.
That's the other thing. Oh my goodness. You got to wait for DiCaprio to be finished. Then you got to give it like another 2 years.
Well, they gotta like get over the breakup, so like.
Touche. You would hope it was a rebound thing that stuck. It's just like, I just got out of a bad relationship with like, you know, college guy. And then I met Jimmy and he was, you know, I don't want to say a father figure because that's creepy, but he was there for me. And he gave me some candy and some toys. And, you know, it ended up becoming a thing.
Also, this is grandfather figure, if we're going with that. Like,
Yeah. You could be a grandpa at 46. Yeah.
Well,
right,
I mean, it depends. With these people, the hell.
Yeah. You ready for the next one? No?
Yeah.
Damn it. Now that I announced it. There we go. All right. So these two actually are currently in the process of getting divorced.
Yay! What a time to get divorced.
She filed in April and wasn't able to because of COVID. But is now able to go ahead. She pushed for an emergency thing. So do you know who these folks are?
I know that's Ann Olsen. It's my turn, right?
That is Mary Kate Olsen.
Okay.
And her husband, Olivier Sarkozy, who is the brother of Nicolas Sarkozy. Yeah.
All right, so she's got to be like close to 30 by now. And I'm going to go with 24 years. There's
a 17-year difference between them, yeah. So when we made this game, he was 48, she was 31. So add a couple years to that. But yeah, 17-year difference. And what did you say?
That picture says a divorce is on the way.
24. What's 24. That?
I'm saying that picture says a divorce is on the way.
He's like trying to hold on to her, and she's like,
yeah.
Oh, you would have seen how over it I am. His hand is on my leg, and I hate it here.
She always just kind of looks mad, though, in general. She's like really mad for being a billionaire by the time she was 18. And I feel like you don't get to be mad when you're a billionaire.
I'm so upset. You got it, dude.
All right, we ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is speed round. We're going into the end. All right.
20.
So
for Lauren Beatty and Annette Bening.
Correct. It is 21, so very close.
Ooh,
yes,
man.
Very, very close. All right.
20.
Emily Livingston and Jeff Goldblum, 31 years apart. And last one, you're both going to get a chance to guess this. They are no longer together. They do have a child together. They split up in 2018, shortly after we made this game. I feel like we caused it. This is Cheryl Cole and Liam Payne, formerly of One Direction. Everybody gets to guess.
I'm happy for these people. I've never seen them before in my life. Even though, given the fact that they were on this game, I've seen them before in my life.
I go with 12.
Yeah, I'm going to go with like 6. Like, I mean, these are just well-manicured people. A little nipple out there. All right, whatever.
The correct answer was 10. She is 10 years older. All right, so that is, I'm sorry, how much did you say, Cassandra, for this one?
12.
12, okay, so plus 2. All right, I got to do a little quick math. Y'all be funny in the meantime.
Quick maths.
I found out recently that Jason Momoa is closer in age to Zoe Kravitz than he is to his wife.
That's awesome.
That's good stuff. I mean, Lisa Bonet, I mean, hey, you know, she can do what she wants. I get it.
100%.
One of my favorite songs ever is Pink and Blue by Andre 3000 from the album The Love Below, from the dual release from Outkast, Speakerbox and The Love Below. And it is about being in a May-December relationship where the woman is the December. And every lyric in that is great. And it starts problematically with a sample of Aaliyah saying age ain't nothing but a number. So that's a little weird. But the rest of it is very good. And one of my favorite things, he says, I think it's funky in a Claire Huxtable type of way. That's what he says, because she has a little gray in her hair. And I was like, oh, that's adorable.
All right, so you ready to find out the winner?
Yeah.
So I took the distance between your answer and the correct answer and then added them up. And so that means the smaller score is the winner. All right. So Darryl came in with 26 and Cassandra with 24. Cassandra, you are a winner!
Yay!
Yeah. Congrats.
You nailed one. I mean, that was probably the one to put it over. Like, you just, yeah.
If we'd been playing by Price is Right rules, you definitely would have won.
Mm-hmm.
I went over a lot.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. But, you know, we can't be sued this way. Yeah. Take all these dollars from the internet, these bitcoins that you get for streaming things.
So your prize is you get to say all of your plugs first. Where can people find out more about you?
I have absolutely nothing going on. Maybe I can get up to 1,000 Twitter followers this year. I think it's Cassandra Dee with an underscore before and after it. I think, yeah.
That's how you get them.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you'll see it. It's right.
No consistent branding amongst all my social media. Every one of my things has a different name because there's a woman who writes erotic novels named Cassandra Dee, and I think she snatched up all the Cassandra Dee things. So I always have to be something else.
I get it. The owner of DarrylCharles.com has like a PhD in video games or some shit like that. He's living the life that I wanted to live. Like, when I found that out, I was like, oh man, he's black too, I think. It's like, son of a bitch. Yeah, he took everything from me.
You could still kill him.
He's like, I don't even know who you are. It's a fucking meme.
It's not too late to kill him and impersonate him.
Hey, we out here. Huh? Cut this out. Cut this part out.
What about you, Darryl? What you got coming up?
Oh man, what do I got coming up? Go to DarrylCharlesComedy.com, find out my dates. I'm doing stuff later in the month. I'll be on electoral dysfunction soon, right? And we both will. And yeah, and I'll be on the match game that's presented by CSC. And get my album Black Gentrifier, please.
Do it. Yeah, so I've postponed a lot of my shows so that people pay attention to stuff that really matters, like Black Lives Matter protests and stuff. But a lot of it is going to be rescheduled. So like we're gonna have Slut Church. We're assuming will be June 27th. So if you want to see some metal BDSM burlesque, check out Slut Church Show on Instagram. Get You a Babe Who Can Do Both, which is our burlesque show that combines TED Talks and burlesque, is great. It's going to be postponed to July. We're doing it with the National Liberty Museum. So check out the National Liberty Museum's information for getting tickets to that. So they'll be happening later because this stuff, we never stop.
It will never stop. Or hopefully it will stop. Hopefully we all get to a day where we go, all right, cool. We did it, y'all. Yeah. But I think I'll be dead by then. But hey, what are you going to do? The stress, it kills early.
Fun. Well, happy Pride Month, y'all. You're doing the thing. Yeah, go be gay and do crimes.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on, Cassandra. It was super awesome.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. You will see us next time. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
She tell me she DTF. I heard she DTF. DTF. What? And you ain't hanging with the team if you ain't down to fuck.